Boom. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the DJ Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I see a bunch of people already in the check-in. Spook Round 4Q, you are first today. What's good? Gregory Nettis is in here. He says, Gregory Nettis said, yo, Kenny, I saw your brother KRS-One on News 1, marching for peace. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to make that because I was DJing late the night before. But, yeah, he did a march up by Sedgwick Avenue, by the birthplace of hip-hop. So shout out to Gregory Nettis in the building. Just Scooters, what's up? Blaze Nez, gotcha. I don't recognize this name. Blaze Nez, gotcha. Montreal in the building, what's up? Eric Wright, what's up? Big Bat, Oak Cliff in the house, what's good? Big Bat says, I am hip-hop turned 59 today. Yes, the Blast Master KRS-One. Today is his birthday. Shout out to my brother Chris. Yes, I am hip-hop turns 59 today. Boy, where does the time go, man? Shout out to everybody who has a birthday today or just passed or coming up. It's a great time to be alive, man. Rosmel, what up? Zuffnar Star Music Heaven Records. Happy birthday, KRS-One. Kenny Parker, I'm in here finally on time. Yes, Z-Nuff. Welcome. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dre Stack Dollars, what up? Mr. C, I see a lot of regulars. Supreme Divine. Just grateful to be able to catch the live. This one, yes. Terrence Hill, what's good? Happy birthday to the Blast Master. JT, what's up? Tuesday Live crew. E-Money, what's up? Riding Dirty Faces, what's good? Happy birthday to KRS, yes. It's good to get all these birthdays in, man. A lot of people, a lot of our hip-hop legends are going, man. I'm happy to be here for another week. Pat did that too, what's good? Aaron Stamper. Napoleon, what up, my brother? What's good? I'll be seeing Napoleon in about 3 weeks down in Cincinnati. Ethan Sutton said, what up, Kenny? Props from Mid-Missouri. Whoa. Shout out Mid-Missouri. Missouri. I said Missouri. Missouri. Where they do that at? What's good? Ice Cold Beverage. Haven't seen that name in a while. What's up? Abdul Khalid Muhammad Osman. What's up? I'm finally here. Anyway, what's good? Hey, Pete, I'm watching DNC. Yes. For those of you that's watching DNC, thank you for taking a little time to rock with me. I see that my man Common is at the DNC. You know, Chi-Town had to be in the building. Shout out to my man Common. That's a good dude right there. Tybo 2020, happy born day, KRS, Big Fred, MMA Crossfire, what up? DJ Platform 204, what up? Happy birthday, Chris. Don Dallas TV, I'll be 54 on the 25th. Dope. Welcome to the 50 Club. Well, you're not a welcome, but yeah, the 50 Club. Let's go. Vanessa Hall. Hey, Vanessa Hall, what's up? How are you? It's great to get the ladies in here. Jay Wandu, what up, Kenny? What up? I haven't seen that face. I haven't seen that name. Earl Green, Stella Shriner. We got a lot of people here. Stace, Sweet Goldilocks, audiobook, working on it. Slowly but surely. Earl Green, happy 58th birthday to the teacher. Anyway, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. I really appreciate it. Happy birthday to the teacher, the Blast Master KRS-One. I wish I had a good birthday story pertaining to me and Chris, but I really don't. If something comes to my mind, I'll say it, but I don't really remember a good birthday story. My boy's in the building. Joe Boo, Kenny Parker, Flatbush Finest. What up, Joe? Welcome to the chat. I actually wrote about. If you don't got the book, get the book. I say it every week. For those who don't got the book, The Real Origin Story of BDP is chock full of information. And my man Joe is in the book. Rasta Gideon, Jai Guide. Respect to you. Mark, what up, KP? Oh, you know what I want to shout out? Let me get this name right. One of the followers of the channel, Soul Vids. Shout out to Soul Vids, because in the comment section, he made a good point last week, just finishing up on the whole LL Cool J conversation that we were having last week. And he made a good point that maybe LL is upset because of KRS-One's stance on the Grammy Awards. If I'm correct, LL was the person who was putting together the whole hip hop section of the Grammy 50th celebration, and they asked KRS-One to be part of the celebration, and not only did he decline, but he gave a whole speech about why he declined and why he basically thinks the Grammys is BS. And I can see LL Cool J taking that personally. So I was trying to figure out what could have possibly happened recently that might have caused LL to have some animosity towards Chris. Those that didn't see his what is it called? Salute the Breaks series that he does. He had a very interesting reaction to a KRS-One song on that Breaks, and we talked about it last week on that YouTube video. But now that Soul Vids brought that up, it makes a lot of sense. So shout out to Soul Vids. I don't know if that's the reason, but maybe it is. I called Chris today to shout him out on a birthday, and it went to voicemail. So I'm probably going to call him after this. I don't know if I'm going to bring up LL on his birthday, but at some point I might slip that in, try to get some information. Danelle the Don Freeman. Says, yo, KP, what I meant to say last week was KRS is the most sampled MC ever. He is also the most complete MC ever. One could argue that. Most sampled, I don't know. I don't know about most samples. We were arguing that a couple weeks ago, and we came up with Slick Rick on the strength of Lottie Dottie could be number one, and or Chuck D, Public Enemy. KRS could be. I would love to know. I would love if we can go somewhere like to like a database or something, and they can like tell you exactly what it is. Firebird Phoenix, ain't seen that name in a while. Kenny Parker, what up? Richmond check-in. Let's go. Let's go. Reggie Johnson, ATL. Ilroy. This is KRS-One said you only get one birthday. Everything else is an anniversary. So happy anniversary. Okay. Well, I mean, that does make sense. You only get one birthday. But I guess it's a birthday celebration. So we're celebrating that one day every year. I don't know. Rasta Gideon, what up? Hey, Kenny, DJ Platform 204. Hey, Kenny, Dr. Dre made an announcement a few days ago. He's finishing mixing an album he did with Snoop called Missionary. He handing it in September 1st for a November release date. You excited for it? Absolutely. Dr. Dre is my favorite producer ever. And I love the combination of Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. Now, Is it really coming? Dr. Dre announces a whole bunch of things. So I'm not going to hold my breath for that, but I would love it if it came. Riding Dirty Face, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. I really appreciate it. It says, buy Kenny's book. Word. The link is in the description below. I'm about to grab another copy. Question, have you peeped that KRS mixtape, The Block Party with Kid Capri? No, I did not. Is it new? No, I did not peep that. The Block Party, no. I have answer to your question is no, I did not get a chance to peep that. I've had my nose to the grindstone, y'all, working on some stuff. I haven't had a chance to really listen to a lot of new music or do anything because I'm trying to work on something for myself, which you guys will hear or know about when it's done. Vanessa Hall says, Lefferts finest. You didn't even shout me out in your book, and we took the train to high school together. Yes, we did. Vanessa used to live down the block from me. I'm sorry, Vanessa, for not shouting you out in the book. Yes, she used to live down the block from me in Brooklyn. Lefferts finest. My brother Chris went to Lefferts Junior High School. For those of you that are familiar with Flatbush. This is interesting. The Rhythm Blues Preservation Society. On the song You're Struggling, KRS says, all I see is the light-skinned pup. You want to hear a funny story about that song, You're Struggling? That was actually a Heather B saying. We went to Chris's house. This is in 1990. Heather was me and Heather was both just starting to work with Chris, and we was at his crib. And somebody said something, either I said something or Chris, somebody said something, and Heather's like, you're struggling. And she used to say that all the time back there. You're struggling. And I remember Chris was like, and I remember he stepped off into the other room and wrote the whole song called You're Struggling in like 15 minutes. The whole song. And I used to have some of the writings in his notebook. I used to have that in my possession, and I lost it. Fail. But yeah, Heather used to say you're struggling, and she said that, and Chris wrote that whole song in like 15 minutes after she said that one line. So that was on the Edutainment album. Just a quick story that came to my mind when you put that up there. Rhythm Blues Preservation. DJ Platform, you're kidding. When you call KRS tonight, tell him to finish up that album with DJ Premier, Pretty Please with Sugar on Top. Preem got so much on his plate. Isn't he supposed to be doing a Nas album? Did Nas put him on the spot? Chris and Preem been working on an album since, man, like 08. I don't know. That would be dope. Joey Joe says, yeah, that makes sense. LL seems like the type to hold a grudge. I mean, yeah, Chris really went in on the Grammys. I don't know how many of y'all, most people on this channel saw Chris's rant about the Grammys, which I agree, by the way. Rant about the Grammys. We talked about that that was about, what, 6 months ago? We talked about that on this channel. And Chris really went in. And it was almost like a viral moment. It got a lot of plays and a lot of people saw it. And if LL was the guy who was putting together the Grammys and he called Chris and Chris said no and then went on this rant, I could see L being a little tight. I could see it. I could see it. Just keeping it real. VHS Hip Hop. Everyone, if you love the song Out of Here and the other BDP KRS biographical lyrics, you should gotta get the book. Yes, thank you so much, VHS Hip Hop. Yeah, Out of Here is like a teaser for some things that happen. I would say Out of Here is very biographical. I would say the first verse of Love's Gonna Get You is very biographical. Some of it, except when Chris says, I'm in junior high with a B+ grade. That's not true. I was in junior high with a B+ grade. Chris was in junior high with more like a D-. Get the book, y'all. It's the whole story's in there, man. All right, I'm not going to talk about the book and no more today. And as I say that anyway, says, got to get him a new sale. I told a friend about it and she ordered it. Thank you so much anyway. That's all. I'm not going to mention it no more for today. Thank you, though. Don Dallas TV, what up, man? I found this pretty interesting. It was wild to see Public Enemy perform at the Grammys after growing up to who gives a fuck about a goddamn Grammy? Who gives a fuck about what they like? Remember that? That's one of my favorite PE songs off that album. Needless to say, I was disappointed. I mean, I'm not going to say, I wouldn't say disappointed. You know, people evolve. I mean, he said that 35 years ago, maybe, you know, maybe because his man LL was putting it together, you know, maybe L talked to him and maybe that, you know, changed his mind. I don't know. I never wanted to question the great Chuck D, so who knows? But yeah, I remember that line. That was a tough line. That was a tough line. That's how hip hop was feeling in '88. This is interesting. Damon Clark says, yo, Kenny, what's good? What do you think of backup dancers as a thing in hip hop went away? And are you top and are your top three backup dancers? Who are your top three backup dancers? Well, yeah, backup dancers was part of your performance in the late 80s, early 90s. BDP, we went with the hype man. We was actually one of the first groups, if not the first group. We was right there to have the hype man. Shout out to Willie D. Rest in peace to Willie D of BDP, not of the Ghetto Boys, was the hype man. Outside of Flavor Flav, who was actually in the group, he's the greatest hype man of all time, but I don't even consider him a hype man because he was in the group. Outside of Flav, I mean, I would say Will and BDP was very early. You look at You Must Learn video in '89 and Will is like, is the Bronx having fun tonight? Or whatever he's saying, whatever he was hyping up in that video. That was in '89. But to answer your question, just like everything, hip hop got a little more, the gangster era and the more street era and the backpack era came in the 90s and the dancers went away. Who are my favorites? I'm going to shout out one of my friends who was a backup dancer. I'm going to shout out my girl Al from the Safari Sisters. Shout out Al and Kika, but my homegirl Al from the Safari Sisters who danced with Latifah. That's one of my good friends. I'm going to shout her out. My favorites, of course, Scoob and Scrap was dope. I'm trying to think. Heavy D had the boys. I'm trying to think of my favorites. Like, Fendi from EPMD was ridiculous. I'm gonna go Scoob and Scrap, Fendi. Oh man, that's tough. I might go. It's off the top of my head. I might go Hot Dog from Chub Rock. Remember Hot Dog used to have the all white suit on? Used to be dancing. I'm gonna go Hot Dog as my third. That's a great question. I'd have to really think back on like all of the dancers to really get like who was really, I remember like killing it, but I'm gonna go with those three off the top of my head. Rasta Gideon says, big up Kid Capri. Of course, big up Kid Capri all day. Kid Capri is family. Let's see. I'm about to do the Benny Doyle scroll down. Matthew Penny says, what up, Kenny Parker? Who produced Midnight Marauders? Q-Tip said he did it, but it sounded more like Jay Dilla to me. You mean the album or the song Midnight Marauders? I'm not sure. I was not in the studio for any of that. I would love to have Q-Tip on this channel. That would be fantastic. I'm not sure. I mean, if I understand it correctly, he met Dilla after that. Didn't he meet Dilla after the third album? If I understand correctly? Not sure. Delmore Brown, what's up? Delmore Brown, what's good? Tybo 2020, what up? Scrolling, looking for something. Wow. Supreme Devices, KRS-One is a better producer than Dr. Dre to me. Wow. I'm gonna leave that there. I mean, that's your opinion. It could be. Big Bad. Is that Kwame Ture on You're Struggling? Yes. Kwame Ture and Chris sparked up a relationship during the making of Edutainment. So he's all throughout the album. I don't think I ever met Kwame Ture. MMA Crossfire says, salute to Craig Mack. Shout out to Craig Mack. Rest in peace. I don't know where that came from, but Craig Mack was my dude. I met Craig Mack at Biz's house in 1990. Me, Biz, and Craig Mack sat in Biz's basement and listened to the Ice Cube America's Most Wanted album from front to back. Me, Craig Mack, and Biz. This is a few years before he blew up. Shout out to Macadocious, man. KP, were you in the studio for the whole recording of Edutainment? I saw you got credit for scratches. I did some scratches, not all of them. And no, I was not in the studio for the recording of all of Edutainment. I was in the studio for probably like the tail end. Most of the stuff you see me on was the stuff that was recorded towards the end. I was in the studio for Love's Gonna Get You, which was early. Not for the recording, but for the mixing. I was there for a lot of mixing. I wasn't there for a lot of recording, but I was there for a lot of the mixing. Let's see. That's a good question, though. A Steel, what's up? Benny Duro said, I saw the LL video, and he had nothing in the KRS segment, but jumped in on the Migos right after. Yeah, he's salty. Yeah, y'all had to really see that. I don't mean to keep bringing it up week after week, but it was so, because when I didn't see it, I was like, there's no way KRS and LL have any problems. But after I saw that, I was like, yeah, it's undeniable. JT says, you're struggling definitely sounds like something Heather B would say. Yes, absolutely. Amongst a bunch of things she would say. That was one of her lines back in 1990. Terrence Hill, even Shan took KRS side. Yeah, LL felt a certain way for sure. Yeah, I think that's what it was, y'all. I think that's what it was. I don't know why there's a popping sound over here, but the air conditioner. DJ Premier is a better producer than Dr. Dre to me. I mean, sure, everybody has their own, but I just told you I like Dr. Dre. Other people, I love DJ Premier too, as a producer and a person. He's as fine a person as he is a producer. Um, I just love Dr. Dre. I mean, for me. But I love a bunch of people. Dan, your brother's newest joint with Diamond D is fire. Yes, I think I heard a piece of the single. Haven't had a chance to really sit and really go through it. I mean, here we go. DJ Pepper. I honestly would say DJ Quick is better than Dr. Dre. Wow. This is funny. JT says, Ebony, he was definitely salty. It was so uncomfortable. You could see Greg Nice trying to carry the segment, wondering what was up. Exactly. Greg Nice didn't get the memo. So he was sitting there trying to act all chipper during the segment, and L was like, nah. Philippe Harris says people soften their stance as old age as well. Yeah, like sometimes how you felt, all of us, like things that I felt when I was 24, 25, 23 is not necessarily how I feel now, decades later, but some things I do feel the same way. Some things, you know, I might cringe if I saw a young Kenny Parker say some things. Actually, I do. I'm thinking about young Kenny Parker in certain situations, and I think to myself, what were you doing? So, you know, maybe Chuck in his older age saw different. I don't know, man. This is great. Not really backup dances, but I think the best backup with S1Ws. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. They didn't have all the acrobatics and stuff, but their presentation and what it meant to PE. Yeah, I mean, they weren't even dancers. They were like marchers. They were like steppers, right? But I mean, yeah, S1Ws was, yeah, you could definitely put them in number one. I didn't put anybody in any particular order. I was just thinking of people off the top of my head that stuck in my head as dancers. Leg 1 and leg 2 for Light. I don't remember them off the top of my head. I've seen Light perform a few times, but Philippe Harris says Chuck sold out when he sold out Professor Griff. That's a real touchy subject. I'm not even going to touch that here. YouTube will probably definitely flag this video. I would love to talk to Chuck about that maybe one day. Terrence Hill says, You Must Learn and the remix is fire. Yes, I think You Must Learn. I think that's one of KRS-One's finest vocal performances. When you talk about lyricists, I mean, how he broke down that whole subject was absolutely brilliant. I mean, but that conscious sound isn't for everybody. And that's why sometimes when like people talk about lyrics and things, they might gloss over KRS-One because a lot of things he said really was not for everybody and actually offended some people. But the way he broke down You Must Learn, especially that video version, was crazy. I see a lot of comments for the S1Ws. Yeah, S1Ws were dope. He's just like, hey, Kenny, Steezo was a dope backup dancer for EPMD in 1988. Then he left the group. Yeah, Steezo killed the video. You got to chill. Steezo killed that video. Yeah, I remember that. Steezo was dope. I never see. By the time I saw EPMD, First time I saw EPMD perform was in '89, and Fendi was dancing with them, and Bernard, who ended up being their manager, was dancing with them. Oh yeah, Gen X says Sean and Kenny was Cool G rap dancers. Dumb dudes were dope too. Didn't they come out with an R&B group? Didn't the dancers of Cool G Rap make their own R&B group, if I recall? Yeah, they were pretty dope too. Houdini's backup dancers were dope. Actually, UTFO was their backup dancers for a second. Yeah, there's some good ones. It was interesting. DJ Kenema, shout out to Too Big MC, who was MC Hammer's hype man. He was. He was early. I don't remember. I didn't see them perform, so I can't. I've never seen Hammer perform live. But okay, yeah, I'll go with that. And he said Oaktown 357s were his dancers. Yeah, and he shouts out Sean and Kenny for Cool G Rap. Yeah, Oaktown 357 used to get down too. Monty Mon says, Kenny, can we get the Awesome 2 on the show? That would be dope. Shout out to Special K and Teddy Ted. Once again, that's family. You know, sometimes I think I overlook family because I'll be so busy. I've talked to a bunch of people, y'all, that I'm lining up for the show. And sometimes I overlook the straight family. But yeah, if you guys would like to talk to the Awesome 2, they have an incredible history. Corey Flex says Hot Dog was the illest. He was the best hip-hop dancer outside of Hammer. Hot Dog was ill. That's why I brought him up. I mean, Hot Dog was dope. Shout out to my man Hot Dog. A lot of people don't remember him. That's why I brought him out. He was dope. There, Marasudi says Kane had the dance moves. Actually, Kane, some of the illest things I've ever seen in hip hop was Kane doing Raw, or was it Warming Up Kane? One of those two. And the record is going super fast, and Kane is killing it, breath control. Then there's a break, and he's dancing with Scoob and Scrap. He jumps over Scoob's back and does a split, and then Scrap picks him up by his collar, and Kane comes back up and takes the mic and starts rapping again. Ridiculous breath control. Kane might have been, outside of Hammer, Kane is one of the dopest dancers ever. I mean, rap dancers, like MC dancers. Kid and Play, Hammer, Kane. I know y'all gonna get me on there, but I'd like to see somebody take out Kane. I got Kane in the third spot, man. Heavy D was dope. I'm going Kane at 3, man. That's just funny. Let me scroll down. We'll do a nice deep scroll down, Benny Doyle style. Wax Prophetic, what's good? Jamal Live says, did you get a chance to hang out with your brother and catch up on new music topics? No, he just got back in town. Like I mentioned earlier, it's the KRS-One's birthday today. And I called him and it went to voicemail. I think he might have voicemailed me. But I'm going to hit him up after this. This is always controversial. The sad part about Dr. Dre is that he doesn't work by himself. He has DJ Yella, Hitman, etc. working with him. Dr. Dre and DJ Quick do everything on their own. A lot of people have a lot of people working with them. It's not what you think, man. A lot of these producers are not who you think. MMA question, Kenny, did you do the scratches for the end of 30 Cops? No, KRS did the scratches. Chris did a lot of scratches on those albums, man. Betty Doe says Bronx Legends. One of them you got to get on here. Either Rod Strickland. I don't know Strickland. I just met him for the first time a couple summers ago. Or Sadat. Sadat is my dude. Sadat is definitely somebody I'm trying to get on. VHS Hip Hop says R.I.P. Nate Dogg. His birthday was yesterday. Respect to Nate Dogg. Lost him too soon, man. Think Nate Dogg had more to give. Tybo 20 said there's no song called Midnight Marauders. It was called Midnight or the Night. Yeah. I know the song on the top of my head. I thought it was called Midnight Marauders. I guess it was just called Midnight. Yeah, so the album is called Midnight Marauders. Brand Yakubian. Brand Yakubian. Got it. What is your favorite BDP album? I'm going to take Sex and Violence out because I'm biased because I worked on that. I'd Boogie Down Productions, probably Criminal Minded or By All Means Necessary. I'm going to go Criminal Minded. I loved By All Means Necessary too. Rasta Gideon says LL beat up a home intruder. He sure did. Yo, LL is mad big. Yo, LL got to be LL's about 6'2", 6'3", and strong. You run up in somebody's house. Yeah, I remember that story. It was on the news. LL caught the intruder in his house and wore this dude out. B. Fred said DJ Premier is a god. Shout out to DJ Premier. He's a person I would love to have on here. Where do you even start? Conversation with DJ Premier. Where do you even? For a person like me, like he's done so many interviews. Like I would like to talk to him about something that he hasn't talked about. But like what? Dara, yo, your least favorite song off of the Low End Theory album? Ah man, I would have to go through that album off the top. I loved Low End Theory. Loved that album to death. Oh my goodness. I'd have to go back and look at it. I'd have to go back. I'd have to go through the credits and look because I love that album so much. Everything. The song with Brand Nubians, I don't know if that would be my least, and I like that song too. Don Dallas said, didn't Dad say he did a lot of beats Dr. Dre took credit for? I've heard all kind of Dr. Dre. All the stories I heard about Dr. Dre, I've heard them too. But still, whatever he did or whatever way it comes out, I don't know. All I know is a lot of the people who say they did stuff with Dre, when they do stuff by themselves, it just don't be the same. Because that DLC album and stuff like that, man, I don't know. I wasn't in the studio, so I don't know. But I know that for me, I love Dr. Dre's production. But there's a few people that I like. Like I always say, I'm a huge Native Tongue fan, so Q-Tip is right there too for me. Corey Flood says, Kenny, what songs from Boom Bap would have released as singles? Pick 3 songs to be singles. That is an incredible question. First of all, I think Jive dropped the ball on that album. I think they messed that album up. Out of Here was the first single. I was in the studio for that recording of that song. As a matter of fact, I remember Premier played, he might have played me that beat before he played it for Chris. So I remember when Premier finished the beat, I remember he hit play, said boom, and that beat came on. Dum, 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 dum. We was like, me and Will was sitting, he was like, oh, and Preem was like, what you think? You like it? We was like, what? So I was sitting right there when Preem first threw on the beat for Out of Here. I thought that was a dope first single. I thought the video, there was a problem with the video because the first video that they actually shot didn't turn out right. They shot a whole video for Out of Here and something was wrong and it got rejected. If I remember the story correctly, now, of course, Chris would have to be here to give more clarity, but the original video to Out of Here, there was a whole video that got rejected and all the video budget was spent. So they had like a few $1,000s left, a few. And they took that money and made the video that you see Out of Here. But I thought that video, it was just a wild video, but it really, Out of Here could have been a deeper video because there was a lot of visual in that. So I thought the video threw the start of that album off. I would have definitely made that a single. And Sound of the Police. And based on our shows, Out of Here was great. Sound of the Police was a great single. The third single, they did a whole collage of the whole album, which I thought was they was trying to get artistic with it or something. And I just thought it turned out to be just a mess because DJs didn't have, you needed one song to be the third single. I think it should have been a remix. I tell you what song used to do really well in the shows at that time. It was a couple. I'm a Blunt Getting Smoked and I Can't Wake Up used to be really big in the shows. I don't know if that could have been a single because of the subject matter at the time, but based on the shows, that would have been a dope single. The chorus, when we come up and they dancing up, DJ shut up, boy, because we had come slap them up. That chorus used to be really big in the parties. Even people that didn't know the chorus, after we did it like once or twice, the whole freaking arena would be going, whoa, we come slap them up. I think I might have remixed that as the third single. Either those two, or I liked the title cut, Boom Bap, Original Rap, choo, 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 choo. I thought that would have been a dope single. So one of those three would have been my third single. It couldn't have been a Blunt Getting Smoked because I think the subject matter would have held it back in certain parts of the country. So it would have either been Boom Bap, Original Rap, the title cut, or Slap Them Up based on the show responses. And we performed it. Great question. B. Fred says, did you ever get to work with De La Soul? Absolutely not. I would have loved it. But I tell you what, back in 91 or 92, maybe between 91 and 92, we did a show with De La Soul. And Maceo, my brother, was like, yo, we should do a DJ group. Me, you, and Pete Rock rapping. And I was saying, but that's not fair because Maceo rapped all over De La Soul is Dead. And of course, Pete Rock has whole rap songs that he rapped on. I never rapped a day in my life. I was like, Maceo, I'd be like the weakest link in that group. And he was like, nah, just do it. It would be dope. 3 DJs, we do an album. And I remember being very hesitant. It wasn't like we had a deal or anything. It was just a conversation. But looking back on it, I wonder how that would have turned out. I don't know how I would have. First of all, somebody would have had to write my rhymes. It would have been whack. I think I would have been whack. But Maceo and Pete Rock might have been dope. Oh, great question. I just thought about that. These stories come to me as I read these comments. That's why I love doing this. We do this every Tuesday. This is the DJ Kenny Parker Show, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love this I love talking to you guys and having this conversation because it brings back memories for me too. And it refreshes my mind to certain stories. Dartmouth, you're killing me with this one, man. Favorite Large Professor beat. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. If I have to narrow it down, it's between Faking the Funk, the record he did, the funk mode that he did with Havoc and Tragedy. Oh my, I love Just Hanging Out. I love the You're the Man that he did with Nas. Oh, that's so tough, man. He has so many dope beats. If you have a gun to my head, I'm gonna say Faking the Funk. But I loved the funk mode too. Faking the Funk and the funk mode are my 2 favorite Large Professor beats, but there's plenty of them. DJ Platform says, hey, Kenny, when Dr. Dre did a Chronic album, 92, Warren G said he gave Dr. Dre most of all the records to sample. I never heard that, meaning Dr. Dre always gets help from others. DJ Quick and Primo do it all on their own. Well, I don't know about DJ Quick. I've never been in the studio with him or know anything about him. But Preem does it all on his own, man. Preem is absolutely incredible. And there's not a lot of producers. A lot of producers that you guys think be doing stuff on their own don't. I've been saying this on this channel for 2 years. It's all an illusion. Don't believe the hype. But Preem is the hype, man. Oh, this is a great quote. MMA Crossfire says, Muhammad Ali once said, the man who views the world at 50 at the same that he does at 20 has wasted 30 years of his life. Facts. Facts, facts, facts. Damon Clark says, Latifah's backup dancers were dope. Yes, shout out to the Safari sisters, Kika and Allison, my girl. Shout out. What's up, Al? Corey Flesh says, Kenny, what is it about Dre you like so much? I can go, that'd be a whole, the way he, just a long story short, Dre's music, Dre's projects have changed the game. I like game-changing artists. And the way he was able to make hip-hop records that also was able to play on the radio and also was able to play from coast to coast, I love that. He made West Coast records that could play on the East Coast and on the radio and in the car. He had a clean sound. He used instrumentation. He used samples. I think he's dope, man. That's just my opinion. Not better or worse than anybody, but for me, he's my favorite. Whoa, El Presidente, El Presidente. Hey Kenny, peace and love from Dubai. Peace and love from Dubai. Welcome to the channel. I've never seen that one. Rasta Gideon said Pac and Digital. Yo, Tupac used to kill the Humpty Hump, man. Tupac used to kill the Humpty Hump. Kenny P, now that we discussed backup dancers, Damon Clark, what about backup singers in hip hop? Was TJ-Swan the originator of that? I don't know if he was the originator, because that's a great question. Make the Music with your mouth biz. That came out in 86. So the question was, did dudes have singers before 86 that was not in the group? Because like Houdini might have, they had little chance. LL before 86? No. That's a great question. Crash Crew said, walking down the street with your box in my hand. Was that just, I'm gonna consider that a routine and not a backup singer. TJ-Swan, off the top of my head, is there somebody before 86? I mean, Run DMC, I don't remember them having a backup singer. Beastie Boys, Fat Boys. Can you feel it? I don't know if that was considered that's a good question. TJ-Swan could be the answer to that. I mean, Curtis Blow used to sing Daydreaming with one of my favorite Curtis Blow records, but he wasn't a backup singer. Could be Swan. That's a great question. I see some people talking about Terminator X and Johnny Juice. Yeah, that's what I be talking about. Shout out to Terminator X. He's a super cool brother. But yeah, that's what I be talking about. Everything that you see is not exactly what it is, man. It's not exactly what it is. I say that all the time on this channel. April 7th artwork. What up? Kenny, did any MCs from Queens ever step to your brother after South Bronx and the bridge is over? He's pretty much dissed Queens. Maybe LL regrets not speaking up for Queens. I've heard a story here or there, but I'd rather let KRS-One answer that question whenever he comes on. And you mean by step to him, you mean step to him face to face or on a record? That's a great question. Not in my time. I started DJing for BDP in 1990. Not in my time. I'm way back. I see people talking about the dancing. James Thomas Jr., thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. I really appreciate it. How many songs did D-Nice produce for BDP? Whoa. D-Nice was before my time. I replaced D-Nice as the DJ for BDP in 1990, end of 89, 90. So when I came, the only song I saw D-Nice produce that I saw was You Know the Rules on Edutainment. D-Nice did that beat. I was in the studio for that. Now, he did Self-Destruction. He did Heal. I think he gave Chris the record for I'm Still Number One, if I recall. think he did Jack of Spades, or he I don't know if he produced or co-produced Jack of Spades. There's probably more that I don't know about because that was before my time. That's a D Nice question, but he did a few. He did some big ones. Jack of Spades was a big song. Still number one, he gave Chris the record, if I recall. And Chris and Doc hooked it up, DJ Doc. Yeah, but I definitely saw D Nice do You Know the Rules, because I was there for that. And he did Self-Destruction. Nandy Johnston, what's up? Hey, KP. Hey, chat. What's good? Scuba says, sup, Kenny P, and happy born day to your brother. Happy birthday to the Blast Master KRS-One. KP, who's the best New York City basketball player to make it to the league? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right? There's nobody past him. New York has had some great, I mean, you got to look at who's in the Hall of Fame from New York. Tiny Archibald. The Doctors from Long Island. That's not New York City. I'm going Jabbar on that one. Lou Alcindor. September 16th, the Marley Brothers, they will be coming to Dallas. I wish they could record some songs with KRS-One and do a tour with them all together. No doubt that would be fun. Hype style. KRS-One did do a remix for Ziggy Marley way back in the day. I think the song was called One Bright Day. I was in the studio for that one. I was still in school at that point, and I came to the studio. I used to just come to the studio, Power Play Studios, randomly to check out Chris. Whenever I used to call Chris, and if he was like, I'm going in the studio, if I had time, I would come to the studio, and whoever was in there was just in there. And this particular time, Ziggy Marley was in there. And I do believe after he did the remix, KRS flew out to Jamaica to do some work with the Marleys. But for some reason, it didn't work out. There's a whole story behind that, but I can't tell it on this channel. Sorry, y'all. But there's a whole story that Chris told me about that. But he went out to Jamaica to work with the Marleys. This was in like 89, and it didn't work out. Rasta Gideon, K, did you get a KRS-One action figure by Super 7? No. JT, I guess you and Benny Doyle have a conversation. He says, sorry, bro, not trying to ruin your day, but yet Rakim said he did a lot of more dope scratches, including Juice. Rakim scratched on quite a few of Eric B. and Rakim records, and he did production too. Like I'm trying to tell you, no disrespect to anybody, but everything that you see in the credits and stuff is not exactly how it goes, man. It's not exactly how it goes. Scrolling down, y'all. Give me a second to to see if I see something. I see people talking about Preem being a good dude. Yes, he is. Shout out to my man Preem. El Presidente says, Yo, Kenny, have you had Diamond D on the show? No, I have not. Shout out to Diamond D. I've seen him in passing, but I don't really know. I mean, I've never really chilled with Diamond D like that. The two songs I don't care for on Low End Theory is Sky Pager and a classic example of a date rape. I shouldn't have said that on this channel. I'm probably gonna get flagged. But Sky Pager might be okay. Sky Pager might be my least favorite. Yeah, to answer your question. See a lot of people talking about Tupac dancing. Eric Best says those two albums should have had KRS-One in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We've had a whole conversation on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on this channel and what exactly is the criteria that puts a person in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I am not a fan. And what exactly is the criteria? Because what's good for one person is not good for another. It's ridiculous. All these awards and award shows are really trash, to tell you the truth. Number one, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. I really appreciate it. He says, salute KP. Happy birthday, Chris. Yes. Happy birthday to the Blast Master. I hope to talk to him later on tonight. Greedo Kenobi. I do not recognize that name. Welcome to the Kenny Parker Show. Would you agree that Spoonie G doesn't get mentioned enough on this in Hip Hop Convo? We talked about this last week. Absolutely, I think Spoonie G doesn't get mentioned. And when they talk about dope MCs from that original era, that first wave, and they skip over Spoonie G's name, I don't know how. Spoonie G was super nice. He even had a hit in like 86. Remember, he had The Godfather that used to play on New York City radio in the daytime. He had The Godfather and Take It Off. Take It Off. Red Alert used to play Take It Off all the time. That was in 86. Now you called my house and you said come over. For those from New York, no. In 86, Spoonie G was still sounding all right, man. Not a lot of dudes from that era could say that. Shout out to Spoonie G, wherever you are, man. Eric Best, I love your production on Heather B. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, man. The song Higher Level was my jam. Return to Boom Bap was just a dope album. There's any number of songs that could have been singles. Hip hop versus rap should have slipped in at the end of a video. It really should have. I'm a little biased for producing that song, but that was a bonus. That was on the B side of Sound of the Police. So that really was not on the album. Joey Joe says Blunt Get Smoked was the B side of Outta Here. Oh yeah, that's right. So it couldn't have been a single anyway, but yeah, that's right. Good call. Yeah, so that really had no chance of being a single. I guess I'm really behind here on the comments because people are talking about Boom Bap. We talking about that like 15 minutes ago. And we're already in an hour, y'all. We just started talking. Oh. I'm going to go a little while longer, y'all, if y'all want to talk, man. Higher Level would have been a dope single. Subject matter might have held that back. It's very hard to put out a conscious record as a single, y'all. I'm amazed at the career that KRS-One had based on his subject matter. Higher Level was produced by DJ Premier. Where's your favorite De La Soul album? Well, it has to be between the first two. 3 Feet High and Rising is one of those handful of albums. We talked about this on the channel. There's like 10, 11 songs that changed the game, that really changed the game. And a handful of albums. And 3 Feet High and Rising literally changed the game. It's one of the greatest albums in all of music history to me. With that being said, I loved De La Soul is Dead. I remember the first time I heard that album, I was riding in the car, riding shotgun with the late, great Chris Lighty. Rest in peace, Chris Lighty. I was riding with Chris Lighty, and he had like a demo cassette. It wasn't even like, it was like a rough cassette of that album, and we were listening to it, and I was just going crazy over that album. Song after song, I was like, yo, this album is incredible. I was going so crazy that the next day I caught up with Chris Lighty again, and he was like, here. He just like, here, take the tape, because you love it so much. You love it more than me. Take the tape. And Chris Lighty gave me 3 Feet High and De La Soul is Dead. It was on a blue tape. I wish I still had it, man. But yeah, so I'm going with my favorite. Has to be 3 Feet High and Rising with De La Soul is Dead right on its heels. Ilroy, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. I really, really appreciate it. Always thank for a dope show, Kenny. Thank you so much. I really like to just talk to you guys, and I really appreciate it. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, God willing. This really makes my week to just talk to you guys and get to just talk about hip hop and see what's going on, man. I missed a comment. I just saw it. Somebody was like, come on, man. Even Jazzy Jeff had a verse on the record. You're right. Jazzy Jeff. Did Jazzy Jeff rap? I'm pretty sure he did. I've never spit a verse before, but yeah, we're talking about me, Maceo, and Pete Rock being a group. That would have been. I'm curious to. I'm curious to know how that would have turned out, man. I might have ruined the group, y'all. Although I might have got some rhymes for KRS back in '91. Let's go. I definitely would have been on Chris's back to write me something. Oh my goodness, that's funny. Derek Mallory, we talked about this a bunch of times on the show. What's the beef between KRS-One and Ice Cube come about? It came about. It wasn't a beef. It was a what's less than a beef? Misunderstanding, tension. It wasn't beef. It was like tension, because Ice Cube said on America's Most Wanted, some rappers are heaven sent, but self-destruction don't pay the fucking rent. Now, of course, you know self-destruction was KRS-One's pet project. That was practically a BDP song featuring other rappers. D-Nice did the beat. KRS-One and Jive put the whole thing together. Those are all KRS-One's friends on the record. Chris rapped on the record. Miss Melody rapped on the record. D-Nice rapped on the record. And Just Ice, who was a BDP affiliate, rapped on the record. That's practically a BDP song. And Chris is very proud of that record. That record raised $600,000 for the Urban League back in 88. Back in 89, $600,000 would probably be like $3 million today for charity. So that was just a great song. It spent 10 weeks at #1 on the Billboard rap charts, gold single. And Ice Cube just came along and dissed, and Chris was not happy. But they ended up speaking about it, and Ice Cube was saying that Chris took it the wrong way. He didn't really mean it the way Chris took it, which I don't really know what other way you could take it, but that's none of my business since I'm not an MC. But they smoothed it out and it's all good. Shout out to Ice Cube, whom I've never met. This is an interesting question, Napoleon. If you had to rap, thus needing a ghostwriter, besides Chris, who would you choose as your ghostwriter? If I could choose, it depends on the era. It depends on the era. Something that somebody would say, that's something I would say. See, I'm not really big on ghost writing, so it'd be very difficult for me to say somebody else's rhymes. But it would have to be something, an artist who speaks or who says something I would say. And that's why I always say on this channel, I say it every week practically, how much I love the native tongue movement, because they, to me, spoke how I would speak. They're a little bit of a lot of different things. They're conscious, but they're also funny. They like girls. They have a dry sense of humor. All of that mixed in. So that's kind of like my personality. That's why I like native tongue so much. But they're kind of, De La Soul couldn't write for me because they're too complicated. I could never spit what they spit. I don't know. That's a great question, Napoleon. I don't know. But something like that. Somebody talking about something that I would probably be talking about. Maybe Common. Somebody like that would be kind of how I would be. Common might be who I would get as a ghostwriter. This is off the top of my head. I'm gonna do we had an hour and 12 minutes. I'm gonna do a super Benny Doyle scroll down and go all the way down. So I'm gonna skip like 100. I'm gonna skip like 50 comments right now. Just jumping right here. Corey Flood says, Scott Page was dope. You bugging. So was Classic Example. Scott Page, the whole Low End Theory was dope. The question was, what was my least favorite? And I would say Scott Page was probably my least, but that was dope. I'm not saying it was whack. Just an album like Low End Theory, like there's a lot of records there. Corey Lindsay said, Kenny Parker salute. Did you give your brother the idea for the track, The Kenny Parker Show? No, I did not. Actually, on this channel, I did a whole breakdown on The Kenny Parker Show, how that whole song came about. I did it about a year ago. If you go on this channel, look back about a year, I have a whole breakdown of how that song came about. This is an odd question. I'm just going to throw this on here. Chris Morales says, next time anyone interviews D Nice, they need to ask him about his affiliation with R&B group Nothing Nice. Well, they both were signed to Jive. That's about all. I don't know anything about that. See comments about Spoonie G. Darn Money, my favorite jam produced by you with Heather B was My Kind of Nigga. Amazing track. Thank you very much. That song was that track was a last minute track. This kid I know gave me a track. Once MOP agreed to do a song with Heather, I found a track that I thought would be dope that this kid gave me, and I played it for Heather and Peoples, and they did not like it at all. I thought the track was dope, and they was like, "This is whack." And so at the last minute, I was in my lab working, and I came up with that track, and they liked it, and I played it for Billy and Fame, and they liked it, and next thing you know, we was in the studio making a song. I should do the making of that song because that was actually a great studio session with MOP. Shout out to Mash Out Posse, and rest in peace to my girl Fox, the first lady of MOP, an incredible, beautiful, wonderful woman, passed away, I do believe a week ago. Little over a week ago. Rod 27 says, peace, Kenny Parker. I've been watching your show since you started. Thank you. And this is my first live. I really like what you do on here. Thank you so much. This is your first live. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, we do it every Tuesday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for watching since the beginning. This is episode 54. I don't believe I've missed one. Maybe I missed one. And because I started doing them like randomly, like once every 2 weeks. I guess like the first 3 were like once every couple of weeks, and then we decided let's do it every week. And I was like, if you guys want to talk, let's talk. So we started doing it every week. And we've done like a year straight. And now we having guests on here. We're just moving. Spook Rum. KRS said at one time that he had a battle rap for every MC. Why didn't he go in on BDK? Well, why would he? They didn't have any beef. They're actually really good friends. KRS-One and Kane been friends since before Kane came out. Before y'all heard of Big Daddy Kane, him and Chris were friends. All of them, Biz, Chris, Kane, they all were friends. I'm sure as a competition level, they probably, competitive, but I don't see Chris just going at Kane for no reason back in the day. Kenny Parker, hip-hop versus rap did not get no recognition because it was out of print and hard to find. Yeah, I guess you had to get the 12-inch of Sound of the Police. But I do believe now in these reissues of Return of the Boom Bap, they have added hip-hop versus rap onto that album, which means I made it onto the album. I did a song for Return of the Boom Bap. Air conditioner. I did a song for Return to Boom Bap that didn't make it. I put it up on SoundCloud many years ago. Maybe I'll put it up on this channel just so you guys can hear the rough. It was a rough that me and Chris did. We did it in my crib, and then we did it in the studio, but then we trashed it. He used the rhymes again for something else. I have bunches of stuff that me and Chris did in my apartment that never came out, just us practicing. But I think I will put it up. I got to be careful when I put up KRS-One stuff because due to publishing, even if I put up like some stuff we did on like a mixtape, it is still considered a new song, which means there's publishing involved and publishing companies and rights and royalties and all of that stuff that goes with it. So I got to be careful what I put out. But since I believe this is already up, I think I'm going to put it on this channel. Maybe I'll do that this week. I mean, it's been up for years on SoundCloud, but since we here, this is us right here, I think I'm just going to put it up on this channel just for people to check out how me and Chris used to bug out in the crib. Yes, I've mentioned this before. Is London your favorite outside of USA? Absolutely. I love London. London is like the village in New York to me, just big. This is funny. MMA Crossfire says, KRS had a battle rap for everyone. I wonder what his battle rap was for Chuck D. I just don't see him having a battle. Him and Chuck, see, these are people they're friends. Like, I'm pretty sure he would, but Chris would battle his friends, though. Chris would definitely battle his friends, but I just don't see him battling Chuck D. Their minds are so elevated where they are, where they meet, where their minds meet. I don't see them battling. But like if Chris said I have a rap, he said I have a rap for everybody in the top 10. He did say that, so maybe he has a rhyme for Chuck. Shout out to Chuck D. Ty says Super Lover C and Casanova Rudd are dope duo from the 80s who don't get much recognition either. Yes, there's a bunch of people that don't get much recognition. Maybe because their songs, I don't know if this song, because the song Due to James was huge in Latin quarters. Red Alert used to play. That was a big New York song. I don't know if it got outside of New York. You're talking 1987. I don't know if that song traveled outside of New York. I see people talking about De La Souls. I love the Balloon Mind State too. I love De La Soul. Just the question was my favorite, which is a very tough question. Rasta Gideon said, I got a Balloon Mind State shirt. That's dope. What song is most nostalgic for you? There's so many. I talk about it in my book. I said I wasn't going to mention the book. Rap-wise, I'll give you one. This is Jimmy Spicer, a.k.a. Super Rhymes. And I met him, and I took this picture. This is a selfie. He let me take a picture with him. The Adventures of Super Rhymes blew me and my brother's heads completely off as youth. And every time I hear that song, I remember where we were when we heard it and what was going on in our lives at the time. Super Rhymes was crazy. April 7th artwork says, Dan, Kenny, how many tapes have you lost? So many. I had so many BDP demo stuff. I just was a fool. I was stupid enough to think like, say I went to the studio and got a rough copy of a song from Chris. When the album came out, I was like, well, this rough copy is now trash because the real song is out. So I would toss the rough, which ended up being like a collector's item. So at the time, I wasn't thinking like that. I wish I had. I had poetry from Criminal Minded, a rough copy of that. It was Chris rhyming. There wasn't even that many scratches on it. Scott LaRock hadn't even added the scratches yet. It was just a rough of Chris doing poetry. He gave me that, and I tossed it once the Criminal Minded album came out. I have a bunch of stories like that. Yeah, I was an idiot. I could do an epic fails just on the tapes that I tossed. People talking about Jazzy Jeff rapping. Yeah, maybe I should have took Maceo up on that offer. Yeah, Mrs. He said, don't forget Jam Master Jay rapped on Pause with Run DMC. He sure did. Maybe I should have took Maceo up on that, man. Who knows how that would have turned out? The production would have been crazy. Timothy Billups said, didn't you rhyme on Slap Them Up? No, that was Willie D. BDP Willie D rhymed on Slap Them Up, I believe. Yup. We're at almost an hour and a half. I'm going to get off at an hour and a half. So we can rock let's rock another 6 minutes, y'all. I'm going to get off. Thank you so much for the people that's checking in right now. And for the people that's going to check the rewind, thank you so much. You know, I say this every week. I love you guys. This is ill. Seems like KRS had beef with literally everybody at some point. You don't even know the half, my brother. You don't even know the half. But I would say this, 90% of the beefs that we've had, and I've said on this channel, off the top of my head, I've counted in my time. So we're talking from 1990, this is 1990 to say 2000. So let's say that 10-year period. I've counted off the top of my head 20 beefs to different degrees. Some very serious, some just like disagreements, some little stare downs, all kind of levels of beefs. 20. And I would say out of that 20, 95% of them we didn't start. I would say 98% of them we didn't start. There's only one that I would say KRS probably started, but I'm not going to say who it is. But I would say that he probably not. I'm not talking about Shan and them. That was before my time. But in my time, I would say KRS-One said something provocative about somebody that caused a beef that he initiated. Everything else was us chilling, minding our business, and somebody just be like, and BDP too, F them. And then you'd be like, yo, and then it'd be on. We've had some beefs that you would not believe the artist. You wouldn't believe. If I told you we had beef with her, you wouldn't believe it. And if I told you just how it turned out, you would say I was lying. That's why most of this stuff I don't even want to drag up, because it would open up old wounds from 30 years ago. So I'm trying to chill. Joey Joe said Jerobi could have been your ghostwriter. Shout out to my dude Jerobi. That's family too. Yeah. Curious to know what kind of social work you do, KP. I don't do any social work. But if I did, probably be with youth, probably speaking to youth, trying to steer some youth in the right direction. This is interesting. Chris Morales says people are so enamored with celebrity that they don't believe Chris Lighty offed himself. I can see being so worked up that you would do anything to win or derail an argument or shock someone. Yeah, we as a country, as a society, have an overwhelming, unusual fascination with celebrity, even minor celebrity. They're regular people, man. Celebrities, and even me, like I'm a super fan of certain artists. And I love hip hop, and I love meeting artists and chilling with them. But at the end of the day, they're regular people. The more you get to know them, the more you see a lot of people are not what they are cranked up to be. Now, did Chris Lighty do that? I mean, knowing Chris Lighty, it just seems so far-fetched. That dude was he was a tough dude. He was a very tough dude, street dude, and became a very successful businessman. I used to talk to him all the time. I used to say, you should do lectures and you should talk to youth about going from fighting in the clubs to doing multi-million-dollar deals. That transition, more kids need to hear that. I've had that conversation with Chris Lighty. And it just seems so shocking that he would go out like that. But it's possible. I mean, mental illness is a serious, serious thing, man. That doesn't get talked about enough, especially not in hip hop. All right, I'm going to get off, y'all. Benny Doyle says, Kenny, please call me out to extend hour on Tuesdays. The Benny Doyle extended hour? That's two Benny Doyles, maybe? That's funny. Was it you that came up with extending the hour? Um, okay. All right, I'm gonna do one last thing. I'm gonna do the Benny Doyle, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and I'm just gonna find a question, and I'm gonna answer that, and then we're gonna get off. I don't understand what this is. Corey Fletcher says, "Walking in the rain slapped Chris." Please tell me that didn't happen. Who's walking in the rain? I don't even know what that is. I read in a magazine a long time ago where Fife said that KRS-One was his favorite poet. Shout out to my dude, Fife Dog. I have a funny Fife Dog story with me and him that we hung out one time. I have a funny story with him on this channel when I first started the channel. So it's way back. Like this channel is coming up on 2 years old. And I have a funny story about Fife Dog. Me and him have chilled a few times. Yeah, that'd be dope if KRS-One is his favorite poet. I rock with Fife. All right, y'all. Corey Fletcher said, the BDP have beef with any non-rap groups. Any truth to the KRS beef with Orange Juice Jones? Did he really slap Chris? Orange Juice Jones? I've never heard that story before. Wow. Orange Juice Jones? I can say that in my time, I believe I would have heard about that, and I've never heard that. Did we ever have a beef with a non-rap group? Yes. Yes, we did. Yeah, we did. A confrontation, actually. All right, y'all. I'm going to jump off. And I'll catch you guys. I will catch you guys next week, next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys so much for checking out the Kenny Parker Show. I love it. And I got some guests coming up soon, so stay tuned. And I'll catch you guys next week. I'm going to read the comments that I didn't get a chance to check out, and I'm going to try to catch up with my brother and see if he doesn't put me on, if he doesn't not answer the phone again like he did earlier. All right, y'all.